my pleasure to bring up our speaker today, the Consul General of Azerbaijan, and it's Nassimi Gayev. So, just a little background on our Consul General. He became the Consul General in April of 2012. He was appointed by the President Ilham Aliyev, right? I think that's how you say the name. He to be the General Consul here in Los Angeles, and he's a senior representative of the Republic of Azerbaijan to California and 12 other Western U.S. states. So, joining Azerbaijan's diplomatic service in 1999, the Consul General served as his country's in the embassies in Vienna, Berlin, D.C., as well as in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Baku. Let's see here. He holds a Master of European Law degree from the Europa Institute of the Saarland University, Germany, and Bachelor of Arts and Master of Arts degrees in International Relations from the Baku State University. He was also trained at the Vienna Diplomatic Academy in Austria, and his book, which is, I won't give you I'll give you the English translation of the name, Humanitarian Intervention and International Law, NATO Operation in Kosovo, was published in German in Berlin in 2007. So he holds a diplomatic rank of Envoy Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary First Class, and he has articles that have been published in the Washington Times, The Hill, Roll Call, Daily Caller, Jewish Journal, Arizona Capital Times, and the Albuquerque Journal, and many others. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Consul General, Nassimi Gayev.
Let me try a bit easier for me. I won't switch it off. Very good. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for inviting me to talk to this wonderful group. And I was listening to all the presentations, pretty impressive, and I'm very pleased and honored to be here and to give you some information about how Azerbaijan is doing and what our relations are with the United States. And then I'll be happy to answer your questions. So thanks again to the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce when I got the email from Elham Yahubian at the beautiful event the Iranian American Jewish Federation put together at the Sabanth Theater. And then I researched that I should definitely go and talk to these guys. Thank you very much for the introduction as well. So Azerbaijan is a country that's located in the South Caucasus region, or you could call also Caspian region. Azerbaijan is right between Russia and Iran, and actually the world's only country to be bordering Russia and Iran at the same time. But we have neighbors of Georgia, Armenia, Turkey, and I would suggest you also brochures on Azerbaijan on your table, and there's a map inside as well, so just give you some visual idea. And the eastern shore of the Caspian of Azerbaijan is Caspian Sea, a long shore of almost 800 kilometers. But as the Caspian Sea is the largest lake in the world, Azerbaijan is considered a landlocked country. So in order to get to world oceans, we need to go either through Russian Federation territory or through Georgia to the Black Sea and then to the oceans. So it's not an easy region, of course. It's close to the Middle East, close to Afghanistan and other places. But Azerbaijan has been independent since 26 years, and I think we have undergone a rapid transformation from a once poor and war-torn country to become the largest economy in this region. But how did it happen? A very short expose. In 1918, actually, Azerbaijan established its first independence. So the first independent Republic of Azerbaijan was established. And it became the first ever secular democracy in the entire Muslim world. So in 1980, the next year we're going to celebrate the 100th anniversary. And in 1919, Azerbaijan gave the right to vote to women for the first time in the Muslim world but also a year before the United States.
Wow.
So we beat the US for 1 year.
Wow.
So unfortunately, this independence didn't last long. So the Soviets came and invaded Azerbaijan because Vladimir Lenin famously said that Russia could not survive without Baku oil. So oil. When you hear the word Azerbaijan, most people think of oil, whereas Azerbaijan has more also to offer than oil. But oil, of course, was a defining factor for Azerbaijan's both development, but also various invasions, like the one I mentioned took place in 1920, when our independence was cut short. But before Azerbaijan became independent in 1918, Azerbaijan actually became a center of the global oil production. In the beginning of the 20th century, Baku, our capital city, was already producing 50% of the world's oil and 95% of the oil in the Russian Empire, of which we were part. So you had all giants of the oil industry then who were operating in Azerbaijan, Nobel brothers, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and others all came and established their companies, making fortunes. Actually, we did some calculations together with our Swedish partners that around 30% of Nobel Prize Fund was made at the expense of Baku oil. So that was our contribution to this famous prize. Alfred Nobel never made it to Azerbaijan, but he sent his two brothers there. And actually they came for food and found a much more valuable commodity, oil, and decided to stay. But so that oil factor was very important also for modernizing Azerbaijan 100 years ago. That's one of the reasons why we became the first secular parliamentary democracy in the Muslim world, but also the first majority Muslim country to establish an opera, operetta, and ballet so many years ago. So as part of the Soviet Union after 1920, of course, Azerbaijan had its own ups and downs. There were some few positive things, like the literacy level rose. A lot of schools were built to raise the education in the country as part of the Soviet education system. Urbanization took place, industrialization at a large scale. But of course, Azerbaijani people lacked the most important thing, and that was freedom. Freedom and independence. So, and that could not be compensated with anything else. So, Azerbaijani people were yearning for establishing or re-establishing and restoring our independence, and also be able to take hold on control over our own resources. Because as one of the 15 Soviet republics, we were providing more to the central budget than we were receiving. So out of all 15 Soviet republics, there were just 3 self-sufficient republics. And one of them was Azerbaijan. And the 2 others were Russia and Ukraine. But if you consider the size of those 2 nations, but the size of Azerbaijan, which is the size of the state of Maine or the country of Austria, then you can see the huge difference. In the World War II, Azerbaijan was providing 80% of the fuel for the Soviet army. Actually, one of the goals of Hitler was to get to Baku and get hold of oil and actually win the war, because that could have ended the war in favor of Hitler. Thankfully, he was a man of vanity, and he wanted to invade Stalingrad on the way and humiliate Stalin personally, because it carried the name of Stalin. So that was, I think, the defining factor, or not I think, the historians think. So the Stalingrad battle turned out to be not how Hitler wished it to be. So it changed the course of the World War II. So that was also our huge contribution to defeat Hitler in the World War II. So after one day USSR started to crumble, the Soviet Union, Azerbaijan, one of the largest mass anti-Soviet demonstrations was actually in Baku. Over 1 million people would get into the street, the major square that carried the name of Lenin Square back then. Today it's Freedom Square in Baku, and demand freedom and independence. And what Mikhail Gorbachev, the president of the Soviet Union, did, he sent 26,000 troops in 1990 to the streets of Baku, who killed a lot of peaceful demonstrators and wounded many of them. And the punishment he received for this treatment of Azerbaijani civilians was a Nobel Prize 10 months later, Nobel Peace Prize. So, and actually, I read the statement, the explanation they put out as a Nobel Prize committee. They said, this guy has been so strongly committed to peace that we have to give him a peace prize. Wow. So an irony in history that Azerbaijan contributed with its oil to the Nobel Prize overall, and Gorbachev got it for killing Azerbaijanis. Or after killing Azerbaijanis. So these were very difficult times, but it backfired. A year and a half later, Azerbaijan became independent. And actually one of the first countries in the Soviet Union to declare its sovereignty and independence, even as long as the Soviet Union was still in existence. So, and since then, thanks God, Azerbaijan has remained independent. And we say today that Azerbaijan has now been stronger. The beginning years were extremely difficult because suddenly this whole command and centralized economy collapsed. So many plants, many factories in the country stopped working and providing jobs, and that created a lot of unemployment in the country. I remember those days when like qualified engineers were driving cabs just to make the ends meet. And also political chaos in the country, huge domestic instability in early 1990s. And in 1993, something remarkable happened. Heydar Aliyev became the president of Azerbaijan, and today he's regarded as national leader of the people of Azerbaijan. Because with the arrival of Heydar Aliyev, who used to be the first deputy prime minister of the Soviet Union, the highest ranking Muslim in the Soviet Union, and he was an Azerbaijani. So, but he resigned from the Communist Party for his disagreements with Gorbachev. And when this massacre happened, he very courageously furiously criticized this bloodshed in the middle of Moscow. Not from Azerbaijan, he was in Moscow doing it. So he became a leader of the Azerbaijan struggle for freedom. In 1993, he was elected president, and that's how a new page in the history of Azerbaijan, independent Azerbaijan, started. And the first thing Heydar Aliyev did was to concentrate on the economic reforms, on making sure that Azerbaijan could stand on its feet as a free and independent nation. And one way, the way of doing that was to use and utilize Azerbaijan's energy resources for the people and state of Azerbaijan. So Azerbaijan invited foreign oil companies to come and operate and help us develop the oil resources in the Caspian Sea. In 1994, the famous contract of the century was signed with lots of American companies from Amoco, Pennzoil, Unocal, Chevron, Exxon, and others. And several other contracts joined us years later. So now the contracts were signed, but the major question was how to get this oil to world markets. So we had to build a pipeline. There was an existing pipeline through Russia to the Black Sea. Iran was suggesting a very interesting option. They were suggesting that we give the entire oil, export oil, to Iran on the border between Iran and Azerbaijan, and Iran would give the same amount of Persian oil in the Gulf, so that we could export. But of course, the Persian oil and Azerbaijani oil are different in terms of quality. Azerbaijani oil has less sulfur in it, so it's easier to refine as opposed to the Persian oil. But that was not the defining, of course, the most defining factor. So Azerbaijan opted for the longest pipeline, and that would take our oil from Baku through Georgia and Turkey to the Mediterranean port of Ceyhan, and from there to the world markets. That was and remains one of the longest pipelines today. And in 2006, it was put into operation. And I must say that American support for this pipeline project was essential for making it happen. Of course, it is a commodity, very important commodity, very strategic commodity that also, it always involves also politics. So American support was instrumental. And it was a bipartisan support. It started with Clinton and continued with Bush administration as well. So it was never subjected to any internal bickerings or polarizations. So we got the bipartisan U.S. support for this enormously important project. And today, it turns out that the decision for this route of the pipeline was the most strategic and the wisest one. If you consider what has happened in the region over the years, with gas deliveries, oil deliveries, etc. But our pipeline has been working smoothly for all these years, and it has changed the region enormously, and changed Azerbaijan, because it has generated billions of dollars in revenues for our country. That has helped us to modernize Azerbaijan, but also help modernize countries like Georgia, and also help the economy of Turkey. Today, the largest taxpayer in Georgia is an Azerbaijani company. And the billions of dollars have been invested in Turkish economy. In a few years, Azerbaijan is set to become the largest investor in Turkish economy, with almost $20 billion investment. So all these years, we've had $220 billion in foreign investments, and out of them, around 15 billion came from the United States companies. So the U.S. companies, over 350 of them, are very active in the energy sector of Azerbaijan, in agriculture, and also the manufacturing, IT technology. We are cooperating with the United States to modernize our aviation. Like we signed very big contracts with Boeing over the years, almost creating 20, 30,000 American jobs here, and buying Dreamliners and other freight airplanes. And today, Baku, New York direct flights use some of these Dreamliners that we got from Boeing. So it's very important. Also, American company Orbital Science Corporation helped to build our first satellite that was sent to space a few years ago. And now a Canadian company is building a second satellite for Azerbaijan here in California. It's a very complicated constellation. Why not Orbital Science Corporation? Because they could not take part in this bidding process, because Exim Bank was abolished by U.S. Congress when they were bound to do that. So a Canadian company participated and won the bid. But they are doing the whole manufacturing here in the United States, in Palo Alto. So we hope to be able to send that satellite as well to space soon. And it will generate additional revenues for our economy. So what's happening now? We started the oil pipeline. Now the natural gas has become an important commodity Azerbaijan can provide. We're building a gas pipeline that's going to take Azerbaijani natural gas along the same route of the oil pipeline and go directly to European consumers, passing through 7 countries and creating enormous job opportunities. And that will help the European allies of the United States to diversify their source of energy as well, provide alternative source of energy for these countries. And now, a few days ago, a very important event took place in Baku, a milestone event, I would say. The Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railroad was put into operation. And this is the first railroad to connect the Caspian region with Europe directly. So this railroad will enable the goods from China pass through Kazakhstan and on a ferry through the Caspian Sea to Baku, and from Baku to Georgia, Turkey, Istanbul, and then Europe. So I think it's a very, very important development in our history. It will also help Azerbaijan, together with other fields, to diversify our economy, and it will create great job opportunities over the years. Now it will be possible to use this railroad to transport 1 million passengers a year to Europe. So you'll be able to board a train in Baku, a high-speed train, and go to Germany, Paris, and London, of course, if you have enough time. So I want to see all these countries along the route. But in terms of cargo, extremely important. The capacity will be 17 million tons of cargo, and it will increase over the years to come. Imagine the daily trade volume between China and Europe is $1 billion. $1 billion. If we can get a portion of that trade volume, then it will be tremendously beneficial for economies of Azerbaijan, Georgia, and all other countries involved. And also, today it takes around 45 days to get Chinese goods transferred through the sea routes to get to Europe. But this Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railroad will take just 15 days, so almost 3 times less. So it will make a lot of difference. So we are connecting continents. We're connecting Europe with Asia, and also it's not just about railroads. We are expanding our seaport at Baku. We expanded our airport capacity as well. So Azerbaijan is becoming actually a trade and transportation hub in Eurasia. So it's a country with a geographic location, complicated as it may sound, but we can turn that complication very successfully into a beneficial factor that will help our economy, our development, and also the maintenance of our independence over the years to come. As I mentioned, the IT sector, so agriculture is a very important sphere. We have a tremendous potential. Azerbaijan has, out of 12 climate zones existing in the world, 9. So when I was in Hawaii, they said we have 11. So just 2. We have 2 to reach you, but so it's a very diverse geography, and it also is good for agricultural development. And the central location of Azerbaijan provides for opportunities to produce agricultural products and export them to the countries in the region. And also, the revenues generated by the oil industry and gas industry were smartly, I think, was used by the government of Azerbaijan to decrease and reduce the poverty in the country. So according to World Bank, in 2001, the poverty in Azerbaijan was 49%. Today, it's 4.8%.
Wow.
So, and the well-being of the population has been very much improved, but we are working to make it even lower and decrease the unemployment and make sure that people of Azerbaijan live better and better. The U.S. companies I mentioned, over 350 of them are operating in Azerbaijan, and we had recently the largest ever trade mission from the United States to our country. We put it together with the U.S. Azerbaijan Chamber of Commerce in D.C. And with the cooperation with the U.S. Department of Commerce. So it was a very successful trip, and I hope next year when they go, maybe some of you could join this trip and go there and explore the opportunities for cooperation. Some California companies were on board as well. So let me say also at the end that it's a country where a stable country with a good location in the region, right in the center of the region, with opportunities to export to the rest of the region and beyond. Literacy level is 99% in the country, is pretty high, with a qualified workforce as well. And the government tries to make our investment regime as lucrative as possible, creating free trade zones and very favorable tax regimes. U.S. investment, labor market efficiency for the use of talent. Azerbaijan even is outclassing countries like Austria, Estonia, Israel, Ireland, and Belgium. So some very developed nations. And at the end of my speech, I'd like to touch on a very, I think, important issue. It's not an economic issue, but of huge importance for, I think, the future of our country. This is the factor that Azerbaijan is also very famously regarded as a model of peaceful coexistence and harmony of various religions and ethnicities. So it's a 95% Muslim country where 500,000 Christians and 30,000 Jews and representatives of so many other faiths live together in harmony and peace. And this has been the situation since hundreds of years. The government of Azerbaijan is building synagogues, churches, and helping all those religious and faith communities so that we can protect that model for many, many years to come. So we have a vibrant, therefore, communities in the country, the Christian Orthodox, the Baptists, and Catholics, a Jewish community, both ancient one, the Mizrahi community, who are related to Iranian Jews, but also Ashkenazi community. That's why we have a strong relationship also with the state of Israel. For Israel, Azerbaijan is probably the strongest partner in the Muslim world. So we provide 50% of oil in Israel. So the joke is that probably every second car in Israel is running on Azerbaijani fuel. So we're happy to contribute that to that. But in general, a very strong relationship in all levels. Israeli companies are working in Azerbaijan to develop a drip irrigation system or green energy, solar panels, and etc. So it's a very versatile relationship. With the United States, we have invested almost $22 billion in U.S. bonds, treasuries over the years, and it's poised to increase. So there's plenty of room for improvement and for expansion of our economic relations with the United States. We're a strong friend of the United States in this very difficult part of the world. And this cooperation and relationship and friendship is based on shared interests and vision for this region. So if you don't stop me, I will keep talking, but I will stop here. Thank you very much.
Awesome. A couple questions. First of all, with the relationship with Turkey, as Turkey trends towards, I guess, desecularization of their government, is there a concern by Azerbaijanis that that will affect the pipeline? That there may be a point where Turkey decides to, co-opt that pipeline? That's the first question. The second question is, are there opportunities, or what would you say are the opportunities for small business owners like us in Azerbaijan, whether to provide products and services, or potentially, bring products and services to the U.S. that haven't been developed yet?
Very good. Thank you very much. So Turkey and Azerbaijan, we have enjoyed and continue to enjoy a very strong relationship. Just a few days ago, with our inauguration of this BTK pipeline, the railroad, project. President Erdogan visited Azerbaijan and had very fruitful conversation with our president. So it's a relationship and alliance and partnership that are strongly based on a mutual interests we have, but also on the ethnic kinship between the two nations. So Azerbaijanis and Turks are actually of Turkic origin. So when we speak with Turks, we do not need translator. So we understand each other. So that's one of the advantages of knowing to speak Azerbaijani language, because then you'd be able to speak to the Turks as well. So I usually use it as an encouragement to learn Azerbaijan, but also 30 million Azerbaijanis living in Iran, by the way. 30 million of them. We have 10 million, and 30 million are Iran, and several millions in Turkey, Russia, etc. So this is a very strong partnership and alliance. We work on various projects of trans-regional importance, like the oil pipeline, gas pipeline, the railroad, and also investing a lot in Turkish economy. Turkish companies are very active in Azerbaijani economy. So I do not see any threats or dangers in that sense, because it benefits the people and the country, the states of both countries and nations. So I think this relationship is set to increase and even expand over the years to come. As for the small business owners, our consulate here is as an open door policy in that sense to business owners from Los Angeles. We're always ready and to listen to the proposals and facilitate the relationships between Los Angeles-based companies and Azerbaijan. So I think that there are opportunities, since Azerbaijan is now becoming a hub in many senses in that region. A lot of opportunities will emerge. So both for domestic needs in the Republic of Azerbaijan, but also to be able to export it and market it to the wider region. Please.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. That was a very informative speech. Two questions. First of all, how many countries share the Caspian oil and what's the percentage? And the second, relationship between the Baku and Armenian Republic.
So the Caspian Sea is the largest lake. It was divided between Russia, the Soviet Union, and Iran with two agreements in the 20th century. So when we were part of the Soviet Union divided the Caspian Sea into sectors between the Soviet republics: Azerbaijan, Russia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan. Right? And now we are operating within the limits of that sector. Iran is the fifth littoral state, so we have 5 littoral states. And now we are negotiating among all these 5 littoral states in order to define the legal status of the Caspian Sea. And we've been trying to do it for the last 25 years. It's not an easy topic, of course, but Azerbaijan has a substantial portion of the Caspian Sea. We're not passing over these limits that were defined by that delimitation that took place under the Soviet Union. But of course, we signed bilateral agreements with Russia and Kazakhstan that defines the seabed among these 3 nations, but the surface and the water is in common use. But the seabed, where the natural resources are located, are divided. So we just need to finalize the problem with Turkmenistan and Iran as well, and then the issue will be resolved. But I hear from media reports that there are some positives already developments in that regard. As for the other issue, so as I described, Azerbaijan has either a very strong relationship with certain countries in the region or normal working relationships. But with Armenia, we have no relationship. So, and the only reason is that Armenia has invaded 1/5 of Azerbaijan's territory 25 years ago. So around 20% of Azerbaijan's sovereign, internationally recognized territory is under Armenian occupation, and around 800,000 Azerbaijanis have been expelled from these lands, occupied lands. So they were subjected to pure ethnic cleansing. And now they are still displaced population, refugees in their own country. They cannot go back to their ancestral lands and homes. They were just kicked out overnight, oftentimes, without being even able to take their belongings. So that's the hugest sore point in our region. But we are now trying to negotiate with Armenia. Our presidents meet. A recent meeting took place in Geneva. So trying to find a solution, negotiated settlement of this conflict, which will tremendously benefit Armenia. Armenia has lost 1 million of its population since independence. 1 million. It was 3.5 million. Today, the population is 2.5 million. And some famous Armenian scholars even say that the biggest issue today for Armenia is not the genocide issue or this Karabakh issue, which is the occupation of Azerbaijan's lands, but the depopulation of Armenia. They say we yearned for an independent Armenia for years. Now it has happened that people are leaving. So I think this relationship with Azerbaijan after the solution of the conflict will enable Armenia to develop its economy and to catch up with the region. Look at Georgia. It's another majority Christian nation, and we have a fantastic relationship with this nation, and Georgia is tremendously benefiting from this friendship. So, but I remain optimistic that because we are neighbors, we are not going to move out from this region, so we'll have to resolve this issue sooner or later. Thank you. Please, yes, please.
What really matters to me, though, in this whole scheme of this world is in healthcare in your country, are hospitals using scrubs and lab coats, or seriously, that's all I care about. I don't care about relationships with other countries. I want to know if your hospitals are wearing scrubs and lab coats, and is there a market there for scrubs and lab coats?
Very specific question.
Yes.
I'll try to figure out and find out for you. If we can talk after the lecture. Yeah, yes, I think it's easy to find it out.
Thank you so much. That was probably one of the most informative presentations that we've had, for sure. So thank you. That was wonderful. Okay, well, we are going to bring the meeting to a close here. Before we do that, Gary Average from Go Graphics, he is sponsoring next month, but he is doing so to the benefit of the Westside Food Bank. So Gary, why don't you come up and tell us a little bit about what you'd like us to do in preparation for next month's breakfast.
Thank you, Buzz. Thank you all for being here this morning. So next month, I'm sharing my sponsorship with Westside Food Bank, as I've done for several years here. So I'll be speaking a little bit about my business, and I'll be turning over the mic, and they'll be talking about what you can all do to help them to feed hungry people on the West Side. Westside Food Bank is the largest organization of its type that provides food to something like 70 different agencies in LA, all the way to downtown LA and beyond. So if you can, I would greatly appreciate it if you could bring a check in any amount or some cash for Westside Food Bank to the next meeting, because every dollar provides 4 meals. They're able to leverage every dollar into 4 meals. I'll be bringing a check for $125. That's 500 meals. That'll cover, the year for one person. Well, it won't. It actually won't. But anyway, anything that you can bring for next month's meeting.
Do we have a goal? Is there a goal amount?
We've had goals. We've had things on the website. I don't even want to go there at this point. I want you to do what you can do. Bill?
Would it be useful if maybe we asked everyone to come this week or next month to bring a canned good?
Actually, no, because they really focus on fresh food. And they are able to provide a lot of fresh meals to people and fresh food. Canned food, I'm not going to say no, they won't take, they will take. But
Have like, if they want to buy like a gift card to Ralph's.
that would be good. Anything that you can do it that way, it may be better for your business as a write-off to just write a check to Westside Food Bank and let them figure it out. So, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank Reza Razi, by the way, for sponsoring. Just a reminder, he's got his backdrop set up back there, so make sure you take advantage of that. And I also want to thank again the Consul General of Azerbaijan, Nassim Yagayev. Thank you so much for such a great presentation. And maybe there's a few business owners here in the room who might visit the consul and consulate and see if there's a way to do business, because it sounds like a great place to do business with. So I'm going to close this with a quote. Again, I'm Buzz Park with Lightyear Marketing Group. Oh, the round door prizes. I almost forgot. Thank you so much. This is why we have, I'm not, in charge of everything. All right, so we have, how many door prizes do we have?
We do have 3.
Okay. Wait, I have to put my card there. Has everyone put their business card in the silver bowl of goodness?
Yeah.
The silver bowl of goodness.
Thank you. While she does that, we can announce the door prizes.
All right, so we have a door prize from Steve Little Insurance. And I'm assuming it's a $25 Visa gift card?
It is.
Great, I just won that. Thank you very much. And then we have a Starbucks card.
Dr. Bill.
Oh, from Dr. Bill. Wow.
Your twin brother.
From my twin brother. Absolutely. Now, is every Starbucks rated an A, or are there some B's that we should avoid? So, Dr. Bill, we got to avoid any B-rated Starbucks. Okay, so only use this gift card at A-rated Starbucks. And how much is that for? $25. Thank you very much. All right.
And then our third one is the free breakfast for next month.
Oh, that's right. So what we've decided to do is each time we do a breakfast and a door prize, one lucky person will win a free breakfast, which is well, it's up to a $40 value if you pay the door. So we'll use that number. But anyway, so that's actually a great thing, and you can use that maybe to bring a colleague or bring another business owner that you would like to visit the chamber, etc. So all right, so let's Steve, why don't you come up here and pick the card for the door prize? All right, here we go. And the winner is? Hey, Christine Halverson. Congratulations. You were already standing up. How did you know you were going to win that? That's smelling something fishy.
No, she can pick.
All right.
Special.
And the winner is? Who? Danny. Yes, congratulations. All right. Awesome.
Thanks. Yeah.
And then last but not least, I'll take this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the winner of the free breakfast is, to be used next month, is Gary Average. Go breakfast. All right. How about that? So,
I don't get a free breakfast. I gotta pay for breakfast even as the sponsor.
We do.
sorry, the sponsorship is not included in the free breakfast. Breakfast is usually included with the
I'll bring a
sponsorship.
guest.
No, Gary, maybe use that to invite a guest,
I
or if
will.
you want to use it in January.
You know it'll be used.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you very much. Round of applause for our door prize donators. So it's been a pleasure being your host today. I'm Buzz Park with Lightyear Marketing Group. I always like to end this with a quote, and I think this quote is great from Peter Diamandis. The day before something is a breakthrough, it's a crazy idea. So West LA, go out there with your crazy ideas. Let's have some breakthrough, and we will see you at our next event. Thank you very much.